Elbert County has done a lot of churches, a lot of civic organizations have had donations and doing different things. But there's also another organization, and John Hubbard asked that question that I'll start with. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nikki Gaskins, and I hope I said that right. Yes, Nikki Gaskins from FEMA here with us at the top floor of the WSGC Studio Tower building today. And I know Nikki's already going the top floor. Yeah, it's one step up. So, but we have Nikki here from FEMA, and Nikki, thank you for coming today. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is awesome. And John Hubbard asked that question, so we just kind of want to say, what is FEMA? Who is FEMA?
So FEMA, obviously most people know us by the short name, but it stands for Federal Emergency Management Agency. And if we show up, usually, unfortunately, it's not for something good. We're kind of like the Jim Cantori of the weather.
Right.
So when we come into a state, first of all, whenever a state's been devastated by a disaster, and in this case for the state of Georgia, Hurricane Helene, they can request federal assistance. That is what the state of Georgia did. Governor Brian Kemp requested federal assistance. He put that request in. President Biden approved that request, and that allows us to come in and orchestrate and support the state in its time of need. So that's what we've been doing ever since Helene has hit. We've been here trying to help support the state in its recovery from Helene. And we do that all across the country for other states that request federal assistance too. Sometimes we will send, like in North Carolina, I'm sure everybody's been paying attention to there. We're very active in that state too, all the way from Florida, all across the country, we have a presence. But for the state of Georgia, and if you have any listeners in the state of South Carolina, we're very active there as well. And we are just here for the long term. We are here to support the state in its recovery from Helene, and we do that in a couple of different ways. We do have like the urban search and rescue if that's necessary, but one of the big ways we offer assistance in the form of grant money that does not have to be repaid. We offer that to homeowners and renters. That's the one that most people care about, that individual assistance. But we also offer public assistance grants to local municipalities, houses of worship, some nonprofits that can also help those particular realms get back on their feet.
And I know that we had several areas hit. You mentioned North Carolina. But we also had Augusta that really got hit pretty hard, and then even towns closer to us. And I hear that y'all will be setting up in one of those towns. And can you tell us about that?
So our goal there. So this might sound hard to believe, but there are 63 counties in the state of Georgia that are eligible for disaster assistance. So that's about 2/3 of the state. We are very active in Augusta. Several weeks ago, back in early October, we set up a disaster recovery center there at the hub. And when we first opened, we were seeing about 300 people a day. And we're still staying busy over there. One of the good reasons that I'm here today is because while it's not in Elbert County, we did open 2 disaster recovery centers in Wilkes County. That's at the Washington Fire Department at 212 East Court Street, and then also in Lincoln County at the Lincoln County Recreation Department. We opened a disaster recovery center there. But we tried to have these disaster recovery centers in all the affected counties or where there's been like significant damage. And we're trying to cross all our T's and dot all our I's. We also have crews literally going door to door. So you may see FEMA show up at your doorstep. We do have crews that are going into those 63 counties, knocking on doors to see if people need to register for disaster assistance.
Wow. And what is the best way for people to register for assistance?
Yeah, so there are a couple things we're trying to do. We're trying to cross all our T's and dot all our I's. We have obviously these disaster recovery centers set up that people can come to us. And to find the closest one to you, I advise people to go on to FEMA.gov/DRC. Again, FEMA.gov/DRC. And just put in your location, and you can go to any disaster recovery center you see. You don't have to go to the one that's in your county if there is one. You can go to whatever one that you prefer to go to. So that's one of the main ways. But we also know that sometimes people may not be able to get out to a disaster recovery center. So you can give us a call at 1-800-621-3362. Again, 1-800-621-3362. We advise people that if they call us at a time when people are off work to have some patience, because you have to understand Everyone will be calling that number, not just the state of Georgia, not just the state of South Carolina, but also folks
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yes.
So have some patience, because I've talked to some people and they said they've got in right away, but they've called like in the morning, right when people are still getting ready to go to work. But afterwards, you might expect a delay. And on the weekends, you can expect some heavy call volumes because people aren't at work. But also, in addition to the disaster recovery centers and the phone number, you can log on to disasterassistance.gov, disasterassistance.gov. That will, you can start the registration process independently that way. And then we also have the FEMA app on your Android phone and your Apple phone. So there's a couple of ways you can reach us. And then again, like I said, we may come to you.
Oh yeah, you may be knocking on the door.
Exactly.
And what are some of the things that FEMA can help with?
That's one of the big questions we're often asked. How can FEMA help me? Well, if you're eligible for disaster assistance, you can possibly get help for one of the main ways is basic home repairs. We want to make sure your house is safe.
Like the roof is
Yeah,
good.
We want to make sure the roof is good. But I will say, for the sake of managing expectations, if you have homeowners insurance or renters insurance, or if you're in an area that had flood insurance or had flood damage, your insurance is always going to be your first line of defense. We are not a replacement or substitute for your insurance. By law, FEMA cannot duplicate insurance payments, so we will want to know what your insurance is going to cover. Say, for example, you've got roof damage, like you mentioned earlier. If your insurance agrees to cover that, you can't then turn around to FEMA and say, okay, FEMA, I'm going to get this amount of money for my roof. Now, what are y'all going to give me? You cannot double dip. So we'll want to know what your award letter says. So make sure you get that ball rolling with your insurance right away. Because if you do turn to FEMA for help, and that's perfectly okay, you can have insurance and still reach out to us.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
you can still have insurance and reach out to us, but we need to know what your insurance is going to cover. In the event your insurance doesn't cover everything, we may be able to fill in some of those gaps, but it's important to get the ball rolling. But going back to what what we may be able to offer, it's a variety of things, and it truly is a case by case basis. You may be eligible for basic home repairs. Some people may be eligible to get a temporary place to stay if they can't currently live in their primary residence. Some people may be surprised to know that they may be eligible if they are self-employed and say their laptop that they use for work or their equipment that they use to work. I know there's a lot of farmers out there. If their tractors were damaged or other farming equipment, FEMA may be able to help with that. Some people are surprised to know child care, medical.
Oh wow.
We had people unfortunately pass away in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida as a result of Helene. So if you had a loved one that passed away, you may be eligible for funeral reimbursement. So there's quite a variety of ways that this assistance can be used, but I encourage people to reach out to us because they could be leaving money on the table.
Wow. And another question, sometimes there may be folks that had insurance, they may have had another need, applied for FEMA, and for whatever reason denied. Do you have any other resources or ideas for help in those situations?
Yeah, so we always want to tell people that if they are underinsured or uninsured, to please reach out to us because you could be getting help as well. A lot of people think, well, I have insurance, I'm not going to get anything from FEMA, but you could be underinsured. And also, if you do reach out to us and you get a letter from us and it's not what you expected, either you were denied, but I want to stress, denied is not the end-all be-all. Denied is maybe we need more information. Or in some cases, people get an award letter from FEMA and it states that we're giving you X amount of dollars. Maybe I'm just throwing a number out there. You're getting $3,000, $5,000 from FEMA, and you're like, wait a minute, I deserve so much more than that. You can appeal that. So it's important for people to realize if they get a letter from FEMA and it either says you're getting nothing from us or we still need additional information, or you're getting something from us and you're like, well, I need more. You can appeal that. But it's so important to know, pay attention to the date that's on that letter you receive because you don't have an infinite amount of time to appeal that. You have 60 days from the date on that letter to appeal. So just know that a denial is not the end all be all. And even if you get assistance from FEMA and you're like, wait, I still need more, you can still appeal that. So just I want to reassure people about that.
And I want to say this too, because I know, I'm sure, especially storm damage in Augusta, I know there were some friends from Albany that came to Augusta, help some people clean up the yards, get things, the damage. I mean, just trying to start. What if somebody already cleaned up some of the damage of their primary residence? Can they still apply for FEMA?
Oh,
Like,
most definitely. We want people to start the recovery process as quickly as possible. My advice to people who suffer damage as a result of Helene is to document the damage, take photos, take video, keep your receipts. Go ahead, of course, file with your insurance. All of that is going to make your case even stronger in the event that you do decide to reach out to FEMA.
and so, and it's kind of like you said earlier. Even if you got denied, you can still try. I mean,
Exactly. It
keep
is
trying.
not the
Yes.
end all be all.
That-
And then come see us. If some people do it by themselves, fill out the application, and they're denied, like come see us in person. This is particularly why we offer these and set up these disaster recovery centers, like these two new ones that we've mentioned in Wilkes and Lincoln County. Let's face it, I like to talk to someone face to face. I don't want to talk to someone on the phone. I don't want to talk to an automatic recording or anything like that. I want to talk to an actual human. And in the event when you do that, we can guide you through the process. We know that sometimes, let's face it, this area hasn't really seen a hurricane or
Like this, right.
that's come through this area. So this is all new for everyone. If I was in Florida, they're used to us.
Yeah.
They're used to us by now. Louisiana's used to us. Some places, especially on the coast, they're used to us. But for this area, they're not really new to FEMA. They're not used to seeing us in the area. And so that's why we're at these fixed site locations to help them navigate the process, because we know that can be overwhelming. They've never dealt with this. This is all new to them. So we will take as much time as necessary to guide them through this whole process.
And I know that Lincoln and Wilkes County are setting up. That is in our listening area. We have 5 counties that we really cover, and those are 2 of the 5. And do you know the address or where and folks, I am probably putting her on the spot when I'm asking this. So,
Good thing I have it in front of me.
Oh, good,
'Cause
good.
We have so many; it's hard to keep
well,
up with all the
and I knew
addresses.
that. So, and I want to say this while you're looking that up, just for our listeners, just to know that FEMA not only is here with us right now, but they came by earlier this week. So I just wanted to say that it's real people out on the ground and coming to us and coming with this information. And again, I want to give you that website that Nikki gave earlier. It is FEMA.gov/DRC that or /DRC.
Yeah,
FEMA,
/DRC.
yeah, FEMA.gov /DRC. That is the website. You can go and see where they are set up. And now we find out where Wilkes and Lincoln County.
Yeah, so in Wilkes County, which is next door, we've opened a disaster recovery center up this morning there at the Washington Fire Department, the training room. That's 212 East Court Street. Again, 212 East Court Street in Washington, Georgia. We've also opened up today in Lincoln County a disaster recovery center there. That's at the Lincoln County Recreation Department. That's in the Walker T. Norman Gym at 1962 Roland York Drive. Again, 1962 Roland York Drive, and that's in Lincolnton, Georgia.
And how long will these stations or these be set up?
Yeah,
for?
that's a common question that gets asked of us often. And as long as we're seeing the foot traffic, we will continue to remain open. And again, like I said earlier, when we come in, we don't run the show. That's a big misconception because we're the federal government. We take guidance from the state and the local officials because we are guests here. Nobody knows the lay of the land, the area better than they do. So we take guidance as to not only when to open these up, but also where to go and how long to keep them open.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, this is great information. And folks, if you are in Lincoln or Wilkes County and you have needs, and of course, we saw winds that we've never seen. And even on my street, we had 3 trees on 3 houses on my street just here in town. And I remember going, big trees were everywhere, but somehow the wind hit these 3 trees a certain way. And then I looked around town, and it was like that all over. I mean, trees, and some trees, amazingly, fell just between 2 houses. I mean, it would fall, and I would just be amazed. Like
Yeah,
God,
I've
it's
been
the right,
driving. I've been
yeah,
driving all over Georgia as well as South Carolina, and I've seen a lot of trees everywhere. And I've seen a lot now piled up on the side of the road. And so, yeah, I always tell people, recovery, unfortunately, is never a sprint. It is a marathon. So it's going to take time, and we live in America, right, where we want things back to
now.
normal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yesterday, but it's going to
yes,
take some time.
time to go through it. And I want to say too that the Salvation Army today is actually right now giving out food boxes just for these few hours right now at the Salvation Army. And Matt Hunt says it is FEMA that provided the food boxes. So I don't know if you knew that. I don't know if I knew that, but that's what he's telling me. So FEMA is on the ground, hands and feet on the ground right now. So that comes from Matt Hunt, who used to work here and went to work for WYFF Channel 4. And it is a long line, and this is right here in
Oh,
Elberton,
wow.
getting
Oh,
food boxes
oh, wow.
right now.
That's great.
So, so thank you, Matt, for listening, and thank you for informing us there of the Salvation Army food line. Matt, if you are still listening, what time does that go on until? Um, so, and give us the address of where it's happening as well, and I'll get that out to the people. So, very cool, very cool. So, FEMA not only right here in the top floor of the WSGC Studio Tower building today, but FEMA on the ground, hands and feet on the ground. So, and like you said, there's so many like the Salvation Army, like the fire departments that are all working, and those are the people that,
Yeah,
that get
I,
you.
I always say that FEMA is a piece of the puzzle, but we are certainly not the entire piece. It takes the state, it takes the local officials,
Everybody
it takes your
connected.
nonprofits, the houses of worship, all of us working collectively together to help disaster survivors on their road to recovery.
That is awesome, and that food distribution does go on. It's drive-through box distribution. It started at 9 a.m. It goes on until noon, and that is for all Elbert County residents. And you go to 262 North McIntosh Street, and ROTC is helping as well today. And again, that's North McIntosh Street. It is very likely that my son could be there helping. Wow, awesome. And so very cool. Well, this has been so incredible, and I want to thank you because you came by earlier this week, and I was like, I wonder if she would come back to town, and you did. And
No, thanks for having me. This is important to let people know about how we may be able to help.
that's right. And of course, the Lincoln County and Wilkes County is hop skip. That's our neighboring counties to get down to the road. And folks, remember this site, FEMA.gov /DRC is the website that you can go to and find out where a location nearest you will be. And Nikki, thank you so much for coming by. Anything else that we need to let folks know before we wrap
Well,
up?
I could talk all day about FEMA, but I appreciate you having me, and anytime you need me back on, I'll be happy to come back.
Well, look, we appreciate just having a person. I mean, knowing somebody from FEMA now, and it's so great. And thank you again. And I'm getting tons of. Oh, they're giving out turkeys at this food giveaway distribution today. So it's one per household, and wow, that's pretty cool. Really cool. So thanks to FEMA for being here. Thanks for FEMA being hands and feet and getting out and helping the communities. And again, if you're in Lincoln County, Wilkes County, look for the place near you. You can always go to FEMA.gov /DRC. And Nikki Gaskins, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, stay tuned. More of your country favorites are on the way. We had requests for George Strait, so yes, George Strait is coming up. Don't forget Santa's sleigh at the Elks Lodge